You already know what time it is. It's your boy DJ Richie Skye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. Y'all, it looks like Phaedra Parks is finally showing up to play on the Married to Medicine. Okay. And I can probably foresee this is probably where the end of the line for Phaedra on this show began. Actually, I think it began last season, to be quite honest with you, but we all knew Phaedra wasn't long for this show. I think anybody with two eyes, two ears, that's breathing, that's walking, that's even, if you watch the show, you probably know that this woman was not long for this Married to Medicine world. And I feel like, especially after last season, these women was going to make her get to work and they were going to push her buttons, and they have pushed her buttons today. Okay. So in this preview clip, and this is a spoiler video, so spoiler alert, and it is everywhere. Okay. For those of you guys that don't know, that wonder where these spoilers come from, Bravo usually posts preview clips on their YouTube page. And so then you oftentimes see a lot of the media outlets will also pick it up as well, right? And so we want to send a shout out to our friends over at the Bravo Shade Room for picking up this story. And I like, because the title tells you what's about to happen. They are still at Dr. Heavenly's son's celebratory party, right? The ladies are still upstairs, the guys are still downstairs. And in the scene that we're going to actually discuss, because the men are still talking about how to handle the women, they're still trying to coach King downstairs. But upstairs, the women are trying to give it to Phaedra, and then Phaedra gives it to them. Okay. So they're talking about the Met Gala, and Dr. Heavenly comments that she's like, well, my friends say you ain't done nothing for the Met Gala. Okay. And Phaedra's like, in her confessional, she's like, I don't know why these women are saying this. She was like, I always deliver. Then Dr. Simone goes so far as to say, well, just so you know, my good friend right here, Dr. Heavenly. I'm like, when y'all become good friends? But I think Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone got a love-hate relationship. And I feel like they can come together like Voltron if the need arises, as they are going to do with Phaedra. And you will see that in the clips that we talk about. So Dr. Simone says, well, my good friend, is now the co-chair of the event. And so Phaedra is, she has a reaction. Okay.
If you want to take my job, totally, you can have it.
No. You got $100,000. I never said $100,000.
See, now this is where we get some a hint of old season 3 Phaedra. Real Housewives of Atlanta season 3 Phaedra.
We'll get it. And if I have to give up my own money, I'm not letting no bitches like y'all be acting like I ain't gonna do what I say I'm gonna
do. They did not like that. Okay? They did not like that. Going down the line, Dr. Jackie's like, bees like us who work every day? Quad is like, who? Like who? Bees like who? Dr. Simone, though, and Dr. Heavenly, it's really Dr. Simone that's, I think, the most offended. She's like, bees like us who have our medical degrees, who work in the field every day and are on your same income level. I don't know who is on whose income level, to be quite honest with you. Although what I probably can figure is that Phaedra probably has made quite a bit of coin, but these are also doctors who are on a reality TV show. And I know Dr. Heavenly be over there making the smart investments. And a lot of it, from what I can see, I feel like the doctors on this show do not go above and beyond to live above their means. I feel like they live within their means smartly. So, and I know, but I know Phaedra's got the funeral homes, the law practice. She's practicing law, right? I think she's practicing law. So this is a tough situation, right? Because let's call a thing a thing. The reality is, if we're working on an event together and I feel like, we got a deadline, Dr. Jackie's right to call in help. I mean, that just is what it is. I mean, they're not familiar with Phaedra's work in the world of events, not really. So they don't necessarily know that she has the pull to do what she says she's going to do if she's not responding to text messages. So Dr. Jackie, in my opinion, did the right thing by pulling in Dr. Heavenly, and Dr. Heavenly did the right thing in helping her friend. And calling Phaedra out, I like on this episode because I do feel like this is about a real issue, right? And it's a new story. So to me, I am fascinated again, right? Because some of what we had seen earlier this season, I just felt like had been so much regurgitation that I was like, what we doing here? But this, I try to tell y'all all the time, if you have a reality TV show and the group has something to work for together, that is where you get natural conflict all the time. If the group has something to do together, that is where you get the best conflict. Go back to Love and Marriage Huntsville, the season that they had the Black Business Expo. That whole season was so chaotic because they were all trying to figure out how to work together. At this stage of where they are, Love and Hip Hop, they've been trying to do this cast album. It has given them something to do. When a cast has something to work for, the stakes are higher. And it's always something either new or different or bigger. Then you give them some natural context for which to have natural drama, or to egg it on a little bit if they need to, as we're going to talk about in the following scene, right? So in the following scene, we're going to talk about how they get Phaedra. They get back with Phaedra, okay? They are on they get back with Phaedra Parks, all right? And in order to talk about this, we're going to take things over to the Jasmine brand, okay? Now, a lot of, a lot of these clips are, on a lot of different sites, but I wanted to, spread the love around to some of my favorites, and in no particular order, just where I see the information first a lot of times. So at the Met Gala, you see them first auction off like some type of, cooking thing with Quad, and the bids are slim, right? The bids are slim initially, right? Because I feel like they were trying to start some of these bids like super high. And I feel like the starting of the bid super high is kind of like meant to kind of put the pressure on the person, but also show the person's value. Because if I were Phaedra, or if I were Quad, I would have then turned the tables on one of them. I sure enough would have. Yes, I would have. So Dr. Heavenly, in this moment, Dr. Jackie is actually the person that says it. She's like, we're going to auction off a date with Phaedra. Dr. Heavenly takes that mic and says, and she's willing, we're gonna start the bidding at $4,000. Dr. G, you got it. Now let's talk about the significance of this, okay? Because wasn't the word on the curb last season that let me put the alleged badge up here. It was alleged that Dr. G, that Phaedra required a specific amount per month in order for them to date back in the day. The allegation was, I thought that amount was $4,000. So the significance of that callback was actually rather genius on behalf of Dr. Heavenly. Now, it was shady AF, okay? Shady AF when his new wife is standing there, his old wife is standing there, and Phaedra had they had a something back in the day. And if it was alleged that $4,000 per month was her requirement, and he wasn't trying to meet that, then Dr. Heavenly just threw an entire grenade into the crowd a shade grenade into the crowd. Everybody caught strays. Okay, that's the gotcha right there. Dr. G, Sweet Tea, Phaedra, and by proxy, Quad. And Quad's man, not really Quad's man, but Quad didn't really catch the stray like that because she ain't with the man no more, but it's still like she kind of like in a sense tied to him because of their past. So it's like, ooh, that was a burn right there. Because what happens is nobody's bidding. Okay. So starting off at that amount is basically like Dr. Heavenly's way of saying you ain't worth the $4,000 you was requiring. Girl, I told you that it was gonna be some get back. It was gonna be some get back, right? Oh, I almost forgot to mention, y'all, the ultimate shade that Dr. Heavenly throws at Phaedra. Dr. Heavenly says that the reason why nobody was bidding on Phaedra was because everybody that would have bidded on her had allegedly already had her. So why would they bid on her for $4,000? That was the shade grenade that Dr. Heavenly threw her way in her confessional. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I almost forgot that part. That was the get you ya right there. Okay. So at that moment, Dr. Simone basically comes up and says, "Oh, well, I guess she's not worth the $4,000. No one's purchasing." Because Simone was still mad about being a call to B. And I'm thinking to myself now, after all the things all y'all done said about each other, Phaedra calling y'all bees like y'all. Now it was on some y'all not on my level type shade, but I wonder if Phaedra feels like that because she was on the Traders, they won the award shows. Bravo Net Peacock, the network clearly loves her enough to yank her from show to show to show to show to show to show to show. She's been on Dancing with the Stars, she's doing all the things. So I'm sure for Phaedra, she is at a point where she considers her value to be pretty high. And so, I mean, I feel like you should walk into situations feeling like a high value asset. But do you feel as though she's overestimating her value? That's the question. And I think here in this arena, the ladies feel like don't overestimate your value with us, homegirl, because we may not be on these other shows, but we got our own things going and we are respected. So this is an interesting dynamic to me because if I'm looking at conflict, this is what I want to see. Okay. This is what I want to see. All right. It's like a battle of egos at this point. But if I was Phaedra, what I would have done was then I would have auctioned off. I would, and see, oh, and here's the other thing. This is how oh my God, this goes into the inner outer circle thing that I was talking to you guys about last week. Well, earlier this week. Earlier when Phaedra said, I'm not gonna let bees like y'all, you know, dictate what I'm capable of doing or not. Toya says, I wish I could say something like that to y'all. Because at the moment, everybody kind of let her get away with it, at least from on the surface. But in their confessionals, they was getting into her. But they ain't say nothing to her from what it looked like, they ain't really say much to her right then and there. And when Toya said that, it let me know what the hierarchy on this show really, really is. And it sounds to me like, again, I told y'all that inner circle, Dr. Jackie, Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Simone, then Toya. So Toya's on in that fourth position. Now, I told y'all that Quad was on the outskirts of that circle, and they sometimes want to in, sometimes they want to out. Phaedra might consider herself up here, above the circle. Not in the circle, above it. While the rest of the ladies look at Sweet Tea and Dr. Contessa as outsiders and below the circle. That's how I think the hierarchy on this show is going. But I wonder if you brought back in Mariah, where would she be in this mix? I always wonder about that. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about the previews. I'll put the links in the description down below. It looks like we got a good episode of Married to Medicine coming up. I'm super excited. Y'all follow me on Snapchat. I have had my Snapchat QR code up here the entire time. The link is also in the description down in this video. Let's get the snapping. Let's get the snapping, y'all. Let's get the snap, crackle, and popping. With that being said, I will catch y'all in the next